Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another week of CRL action. Today, we are back with our week 2 recap as well as our week 3 predictions. We've had a lot of spicy stuff happen, a lot more upsets. It seems that, the entire semester is going to be full upset. I don't know why we're surprised. I mean, this is a pretty normal occurrence at this point. We're going to go ahead, hop right into it, starting with our recap of week number 2, all of our matches here. Lots of stuff to look at here. Lots and lots of things. Big things to point out. One, Ball State did not play at all. We know that one player was on vacation for the week, while another had a little bit of a hand injury playing football. So it kind of actually worked out time-wise for them. They're just going to be catching up for the rest of the season. We can also see a couple of teams playing a lot of matches, other teams not playing enough. I mean, Brewton-Parker, West Virginia, CSU, Columbia Silver, Kansas, Mizzou, and St. Edwards not playing enough matches. So we'll have to see them play quite a few in the future. But Lubbock Christian and Maryville really on that grind, considering especially some of that was from today or yesterday as of the video. Today, Monday. We're going to start in the top left. All the bolded matches are the ones that I want to talk about the most. We'll just work across the east, then go down to the west. Starting with Akron Blue against Northwood White. Akron Blue, a team that I thought originally was going to be like for sure top 8, contending for top 6, but maybe just a little bit wide of the margins. No, they are firmly putting their way in, beating Northwood White 3-1, a very high potential top 16, but losing to Fisher Black as well as main Fisher team. The main Fisher roster squad, that's an expected loss, but losing to Fisher Black kind of sets them back to where they were before. So we'll just have to see. And then right next door, their sister team, Akron Gold, beating Illinois State. Illinois State is actually a really surprising one considering they had one match in week number 1. That was against Northwood White. Illinois State actually won that against Northwood, so it was massively surprising to then see Akron Gold come in and beat Illinois State. If you look over at Illinois State, it's not a good week for them moving over to them. Losing 1-3 to Akron Gold Rochester, this is actually Rochester's first win of the season, and St. Clair. So Illinois State, not good. Not good, Illinois State. There's a lot of stuff happening there. You guys can go ahead, look at the rest of those as we move over. Obviously, Northwood Blue is still undefeated. Talked about Northwood White already. Oakland did not win a single series this week, but also they played both Northwoods and Nichols College. So nothing too crazy there. And then moving down to the Western with Boise State, team that everyone was sure were top 4, but no one knew where. Well, they decided where by sweeping Maryville. This was actually the best by far we've ever seen Boise, even compared to previous semesters, but especially compared with the summer and this semester. They finally figured it out, guys. I mean, I was really hesitant to put Boise State above 4th place because, they were stepping on each other's toes. They were not communicating very well and all that stuff. No, they cleared all of that against Maryville. They looked in top form. And I'm so excited to see Boise State, who are still undefeated, come into this week. Moving on, we have Columbia College Silver upsetting St. Edwards. This is an interesting one because Columbia Silver had 2 unexpected losses already to both San Diego State and UNLV. And then they come back and beat St. Edwards in Game 5, which is so unexpected, really putting in the effort this time and bring them back up to a solid contender for top 6. Then moving over to Lubbock Christian, the team that everyone was kind of unsure about. Some people put them high, some people, myself included, put them pretty low. And I still have no idea where to put them after this week because they lose in Game 5 to UTA. They beat Dragona's Carolina 3-1. They lose to SDSU 3-1. They lose to Maryville, but that's an expected one. And then they beat Oklahoma Christian in Game 5. I don't get it. I don't get it. The Dragonas win makes sense. Dragonas aren't looking so hot, but losing to UT and SU and then beating Oklahoma Christian, it's like, what is happening with Lubbock Christian? I don't even know where they're supposed to be placed anymore after that. So insane. I loss of words. And basically everything remaining from there is talking about Lubbock Christian's wins and losses, and of course St. Edward's loss in game number 5. So a lot of upsets happening in this week number 2. Very excited to see week number 3. We're gonna have lots of stuff, but first, let's go ahead look at some league play standings. Just taking a super quick look at those. They might be missing just a little bit of what has happened technically last night, Monday night. I'm not sure how much they really were able to capture of that, but in the Eastern Conference, Northwood Blue Fisher on top, West Virginia Fisher Friends, and both Akrons all looking pretty solid with Northwood White and of course Ole Miss there. Kennesaw State in the middle, Brewton-Parker in the middle, Nichols in the middle, all the way going down to Oakland in the bottom, Rochester right below them. And then everyone else is like, it doesn't really matter because 1 and 2, like you can still make top 2 if you're 1 and 2. So we're not taking too much of the actual league play standings into account just yet because we have so many matches still for these teams to play. These teams still need to play roughly 9 of their matches on average. So, they haven't even gone halfway through. We're going to go ahead and take a quick look at the West, though, where, I mean, pretty similar story. Columbia State and Boise both undefeated still in the West. That is going to be changing very soon. Maryville, Oklahoma Christian right behind them. St. Edwards, of course, also right behind them. UNLV, Columbia College Silver, both right there as well. And then everyone else kind of just gets mixed in with Borregos all the way down at that bottom with 1 and 5. And I mean, anything's pretty much possible. The only things that I think are confirmed is that Fisher College cannot get 16th. Dragones can't get first, and then Columbia and Boise can't get 16th. So, it's all over the place still. Nothing really matters. We're gonna go ahead though, get into what I'm sure a lot of people enjoy the most because it's the most controversial, my league play predictions. And so we have our presentation. We're obviously going to be starting off in the East. And reminder, this is where I think that the end of league play standings will be. This isn't 100% of power rankings, but I think that obviously this will reflect pretty much how teams are going to be placed. Starting off at number 16, we have. Ooh, why cut off? Oh, it's because that's still on. There we go. Okay, cool. Oakland down to 16th. For one, they're just still haven't gotten a win. Rochester's win over Illinois State, I think, is actually going to really help Rochester move forward a little bit. So they're going to end up at 15th. I'm still not going to put too much out on them. Illinois State, though, was a great first win. Very happy to see Rochester be able to get that win. We'll just have to see if they'll be able to keep it by beating teams like Oakland. Brewton-Parker is staying the same. They just didn't have much going on this week, so it didn't feel like much was needed to change. Same with Ball State, who literally did not play at all. So I just felt like I couldn't really move them around. Even with Rochester's win over ISU, it didn't feel right to put Rochester over either of them. Then we have Nichols College coming down even further. And I mean, looking at their matches from this week, barely beat Rochester 3-2, beat Oakland 3-1. Sure, they're like the lowest placed teams, and they lost to Ole Miss. It's kind of just like a middle weird ground where I'm just not impressed by them. Their wins, they should have won pretty handedly. Their losses, they played decent, but like, I don't know, just based on how everyone else is starting to perform, Nichols, it just felt like had to go down. Illinois State, of course, had to go down. I mean, we're talking 2 for sure upset losses, and then 1 that's like kind of a 50-50 loss with St. Clair, but 3 losses that they really should have been winning and needed to win to even be considered for top 6 conversation, which we had started actually talking about after that Northwood upset. Illinois State immediately all the way back down. Then we have Akron Zips Gold. That Illinois State win, huge. I feel like they're above Nichols at this point as well. Only things is like losing to Fisher Black and not looking amazing doing it. It kind of sets a standard of like, okay, this is really where Akron Zips Gold go, and then St. Clair Saints. Um, I mean, nothing too insane here. They lose to Kennesaw State 3-2, really close series. They beat Fisher Black, who actually are obviously above them. Get swept by Northwood Blue, beating Illinois State. It felt like a solid positioning to put them with Fisher Black going right above them. I was just really impressed by Fisher Black this week, especially with their win over both Akrons, which is why I have them over St. Clair despite that head-to-head loss, is because that win over Akron Blue is going to help them out a ton. Followed by Kennesaw State. Beating St. Clair was a big opportunity for them to put themselves back in that conversation for top six, but losing to Northwood Blue, losing to Ole Miss in game 5. So very close, but that loss is a loss, and that's going to definitely hurt their possibilities of trying to get into top 6 at the end of the day. Followed by West Virginia's fall from grace. Swept Brewton-Parker this week, but lost to Northwood White. And I mean, in week 1, they lost to Akron Blue. So their wins are over Rochester, Nichols, and Brewton-Parker, who I have in bottom 5. So West Virginia is definitely going to have to put in a lot more work, or we could see teams like Kennesaw State, Fisher Black, or St. Clair get over them. Northwood White is staying the same. They lost to Akron Blue, which is a big reason why Akron Blue is obviously going to be above them. That loss to Illinois State last week wasn't great, but they countered it by beating West Virginia. So it kind of felt like it all balanced itself out. Followed by, of course, Akron Blue. Beating Northwood White was huge. Losing to Fisher Black was like not great. Kind of evens itself out, but I mean, they're doing great still. They beat West Virginia, of course, last week. And we'll have to see how they do against these other top dogs of teams like Ole Miss, who I'm bringing up not from anything of their own wins, but just because West Virginia dropped. But I could see Akron Blue potentially taking them. It's going to be a very close match, followed by Fisher College. Only reason why I can't even think of Fisher being number 1 is because they lost to Northwood White last week. Meanwhile, of course, obviously first in the East is Northwood Blue, undefeated still, beating teams like Ole Miss, Kennesaw State, St. Clair, and Nichols. Like they're beating all the teams that are really below them. I wouldn't be surprised for a team like Fisher, Ole Miss, Akron Blue to beat them. It's Northwood Blue. What can you say? What can you do? And then we move on to the West. We're going to start off at the very bottom. We have Mizzou, who dropped. It's nothing against Mizzou here. Mizzou, I don't know if they belong in the 16th because they haven't done anything wrong quite yet. The only thing I can think of is the fact that UTA beat them in week 1. But it's more of the fact that UTA, who I put at number 15, just got a couple big wins against Lubbock Christian and San Diego State University, which I would consider upsets as of right now. It's a really close race from 8th to 16th in the West. It's really hard to tell what's going on. We just talked about all those upsets going on. So UT I have at 15th. It's just hard to tell where people are going to end up. Dragonas then going to 14th, losing to Columbia Silver, LCU, Monterey. They've lost to now CSU as well. Just looking at anything else, they beat Missouri S&T is their win, as well as SDSU. But it's like they're beating teams that are like around their level, but they're also losing teams around their level. So it's like really hard to place them anywhere. Missouri S&T I'm putting at the same spot. I don't really know where to put it. And then Lubbock Christian I kept at the same spot. Lubbock Christian to Dragonas, I was flip-flopping constantly where to put everyone. Dragonas, I just don't feel like they have it, while Missouri S&T we know can randomly upset. And then Lubbock Christian randomly decided to be Oklahoma Christian. So I feel like I can't really bring them down at this point despite their losses. Then we have Borregos falling down pretty harshly. That's due to their losses to now Oklahoma Christian and Kansas as well. But they also had a pretty rough week 1 playing Boise, Columbia, and Maryville. So, I mean, they're losing to mostly top teams still. I'm just not very convinced of how they've been playing, and that loss to Kansas kind of set the bar. And then San Diego State bringing way up actually with a sweep over MST and beating Lubbock Christian, but they lost to both Dragonas, who are below them, and UT Arlington, who are below them. So it's like, oh, I don't know if they actually like belong much higher, but I kind of want to just believe it right now. Um, that's kind of all I got is just some belief in them. Then Kansas at number 9. Their win over Monterey was just decent enough to keep them around that middle of the pack, followed by Colorado State. What? Shoot. Me bringing Colorado State down? You guys never expected it, I know, but CSU's not looking great right now. I'll be honest. They played 2 teams, Columbia College and Maryville, this week. They got swept in both of those. Just from my insider knowledge, things aren't clicking as well there as we would like. So I just feel like I have to bring CSU down. I can't put them over a hot UNLV, who are looking honestly pretty solid. Their losses to Boise State and Maryville, but their win to Missouri S&T, and then of course they beat Kansas and Columbia College Silver last week. And Columbia College Silver is still at 6. I thought after UNLV beat them and UNLV's continuing to rise, I'd be like, okay, Columbia College Silver finally at a top 6. And then I see that they beat St. Edwards, and I'm like, oh god, they're back already. I was doing a mid-week ranking, and I put them down in 7th with a -1 and everything. And then I saw that, I'm like, all right, push them back up. And then in 5th, Oklahoma Christian aren't going to be moving at all. I thought of it after the loss to Lubbock Christian, but I think that 6 through 10 is still so competitive that Oklahoma Christian should be able to sail above all of them in my eyes. Followed by now some movement in the top 4, which is really big. Maryville dropping 2 spots, especially with that sweep from Boise State coming out on Maryville. It was very surprising. Maryville, that's the only time that they've even looked below perfect. So very surprising from them, but I did have to bring them down. Then St. Edwards, I also brought down to 3rd. Of course, losing to Columbia College Silver is not great. And with how Boise is looking right now, I wouldn't be surprised if they drop 1, if not 2 more to, of course, also Columbia College Navy. Columbia College haven't done anything spectacular. They look decently solid, but I'm still not 100% convinced on them. It's more of just St. Edwards and Maryville both moving down, and Boise State, of course, moving to the top. I mean, they sweep Maryville, who we were pretty sure were top 3 at this point, and Boise State's doing it with style, so I just had to put them way up there. And then we get to move on now to our week 3 predictions, where some of them are blank because they haven't been put into the stream schedule yet. I hit my keyboard there real quick. We're just gonna go with what we have. We have some really spectacular matches already happening, and of course, these matches are going to most likely get filled. So make sure to go check out all of the amazing community broadcasts as well. Of course, the main stream on the Twitch. I mean, these are the Twitch names, but if you can't figure it out, I'm also going to be putting it in the description for you guys to go check out. Vaudeville on Tuesday. Fisher Black against Ball State. This will be the return of Ball State after a week off against Fisher Black, who's looking pretty hot. And I'm, of course, going to get this one to Fisher Black. They look great. Ball State, of course, have the ability to beat Fisher Black. On paper, they would. They just haven't shown it yet. I know BK was just telling me earlier today that they swept Columbia College Silver in a separate league. I'm not going to talk about all my opinions about separate leagues again, but they at least have a win under their belts to look solid. And then Vaudeville gets to stream the Northwood matchup. Are you Vaudeville? How much did Vaudeville pay for this? Because this is going to be an incredible matchup. Just to obviously you have Northwood versus Northwood on stream, but Adam coming in versus Zanil coming in, Buddy getting kicked off of the blue team down to white, and all the drama not drama, but like all the banter that they had over summer with white doing better than blue. This is there's a culmination of a lot happening in this match, but I am going to say that Northwood Blue are going to actually keep their undefeated tie. I'm going to say 3-2. It's of course going to be incredibly close, and Northwood White absolutely have what it takes to beat Northwood Blue. And I mean, head to head, it's honestly been incredibly close. With Northwood Blue winning 6 out of 10 times over Northwood White. Of course, this is with a series of different rosters, and I believe one of them was with a non-pro scholarship roster. So it's actually incredibly close. Like how similar these teams are. So it's very possible that Northwood White to win that match. Then we're going to go down to SJMPSON because I keep forgetting how to pronounce his name and I feel bad about it, but I don't know how to pronounce it. So you guys should tell me. Um, Columbia College Navy, the A team, against Boise State. Another banger matchup because these are the last two undefeated teams in the West as of the end of Wednesday night. Only one team at most will be undefeated in the West. We already have only one undefeated in the East after week 2. This is going to be incredibly close. I'm going to actually give this to Boise. I'm actually going to say 3-1. I think Boise are going to be uncontested at first right now. If they can put on that same performance they did against Maryville against Columbia, I honestly do not think Columbia has a chance at all. Because that Boise roster was scary, and I'm expecting it to continue. And then we can move on to the mainstream. Nichols against St. Clair. I'm going to give this one to St. Clair. I'm going to put it game 5. This should be incredibly close. Nichols, of course, have the ability to win this, but their losses recently just make it hard to think that they will. And then we have West Virginia against Northwood Blue, and this is also a really tough one. West Virginia honestly could upset Northwood Blue. Like, they fully have it in them. The issue is West Virginia haven't looked good since they won Summer Series, and Northwood Blue started looking good after Summer Series. So we can't really, like, put the two compare the two results because they're basically different rosters on both sides. I'm going to give this one Northwood Blue 3-1. I want to say 3-2, but I just have to say 3-1. Northwood Blue, they shouldn't lose this at all. And then speaking of shouldn't lose, Maryville should sweep this. I mean, Calix has a lot of talk, a lot of trash talk. So if he loses to Missouri S&T, he loses all ability to start smack talking for the rest of the semester. And then we've Columbia College against Columbia Silver against UT Arlington. And this is a fun one purely because Samba, previously on UT Arlington, now playing for Columbia Silver. It's going to be just like a little bit of a grudge match, but it should be pretty lighthearted, pretty fun. I wish we could see the in-game chat for that one because I know the players are going to be talking to each other about that, and that would have been hilarious. I am going to, of course, give this one to Columbia Silver. I'm going to say a 3-1. I think Arlington could take a game if Adverse steps up. But Columbia Silver should have this. And then Oklahoma Christian against Kansas. This is Kansas's time to, step back up into that top 6 conversation. They've kind of dropped out of it pretty harshly at the start of the semester with all of their recent losses. Oklahoma Christian should have this. I'm going to say another 3-1. Kansas. This is a good opportunity. Oklahoma Christian just lost a series to Lubbock Christian. So go do the thing, and maybe we can start talking about bringing them back into that top 6 conversation. But that's going to be a pretty hard one to do. Those are my predictions. That is my recap. I appreciate you all for watching. Make sure to go like and subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to be doing stuff throughout the whole semester. I'm honestly really tired. I just socialized all day. I went to a little thingy. That's why I'm all dressed up. Do I look nice? Let me know if I look nice. I feel like I look nice. I actually really enjoy how you guys don't care. You don't. I'm gonna end. I'm tired. I'm sorry. Okay, we're ending the video. Goodbye. Good. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. I'm